staring at exactly $243,078 in active cap space while this roster sits here completely paralyzed. We're dead last in the NFL. You can't even sign a practice squad punter with that kind of couch change, let alone an entire incoming rookie draft class. Ryan Poles pushed this front office into absolute cap hell. We're choking on Cole Kmet's massive $50 million extension that flat out doesn't match the production on the turf. This isn't about fixing the defense anymore. This is a cold assessment of our financial leverage. If Poles doesn't blast his way out of this financial chokehold right now, our winning window slams shut before it even opens. We've got to dump that bloated contract immediately just to comply with the league's baseline roster requirements. And I'll break down exactly who's packing their bags in a second. But stay locked in, because clearing Kmet isn't just about paying rookies. It triggers a verified mathematical loophole. It sets up the exact minimum threshold we need to absorb a $30 million guaranteed base salary at the November trade deadline for the most destructive edge rusher in football. We're talking about a bonus-free contract structure out west that flips the entire league upside down. And I'm bringing you the hard receipts at the very end of this tape. If you want the actual ledger instead of the PR spin, hit that like button. Here's the first domino that has to fall. That first domino is the contract of Cole Kmet. See, the Chicago Bears don't have a talent problem, they've got a cash problem. Kmet's sitting on a 4-year, $50 million extension, making him one of the highest paid tight ends in the league. As of March 25th, our financial situation's a nightmare. We can't breathe. Kmet's massive contract's the one red button we can push to unlock real savings. You don't pay premium cash for an asset yielding backup-level metrics. It's bad business. We've got to liquidate. The raw numbers don't lie. Operating with a suffocating $243,078 in active cap space ranks us 32nd out of 32 teams. It's impossible heading into a draft month where every rookie needs a paycheck. Poles trapped himself in a corner. He's got to sell. The move that makes mathematical sense. Chicago ships Kmet to the San Francisco 49ers for pick 133, the earliest of their 3 comp picks. Kmet carries an $11.6 million cap hit. If Poles processes this as a post-June 1 trade, we only absorb $1.6 million in 2026 dead money, instantly unlocking $10 million. That's the exact threshold required to sign our incoming 2026 rookie class. You aren't trading Kmet for the 133rd pick, you're trading him to erase an $11.6 million liability. The draft capital is just the receipt for buying your freedom. Moving Kmet works because we already bought the insurance policy. We spent the 10th overall pick last spring on Colston Loveland, and he took over that #1 spot as a rookie. The franchise is already moving on. Colston Loveland rendered Kmet mathematically obsolete the minute he secured the #1 target share. Holding a $50 million backup's roster malpractice. I know the argument. Ben Johnson loves 2 tight end sets, but you don't pay the 7th highest salary in the league for a blocker. Kmet's PFF run blocking grade tanked, a death sentence in Johnson's scheme. If Ben Johnson requires a blocking tight end, you sign a league minimum veteran. You don't deploy a premium contract just to clear out linebackers. A trade beats a flat cut. A post-June 1 trade for pick 133 gets us a draft asset instead of nothing. This cap space isn't just for rookies, it's for the defensive front. The Bears want a veteran edge who can crack skulls without breaking the bank. Cameron Jordan fits that profile. A Hall of Fame career with 10.5 sacks last season, his market value is around $6.8 million. We can't afford him unless we trim the fat. Cameron Jordan's 10.5 sacks represent premium production at a depreciated $6.8 million cost. Liquidating Kmet directly funds that transaction. Why do the 49ers call? George Kittle tore his Achilles in the NFC wildcard against the Eagles. While Kittle claims he'll be back by November, the Niners are desperate for insurance. Shanahan's offensive architecture requires a physical tight end to function. San Francisco's panicking, and Poles needs to exploit that desperation. Kmet isn't Kittle, but the DNA is similar. Kittle dropped 2 passes on 66 targets. Kmet dropped 2 on 45. Kmet actually averaged 11.6 yards a catch and 5.0 yards after catch, beating Kittle's 11.0 and 4.5. His average depth of target was higher at 9.4 yards. Kmet's underlying metrics mirror Kittle's production floor. San Francisco gets a plug-and-play asset, and we extract the cap relief. This deal's a win. The Bears escape cap hell and grab a pick for a player they don't need. The Niners keep their Super Bowl window open while Kittle rehabs. This is a pure salary dump. Poles needs to execute this today, because while we count pennies, a $30 million asset out west just hit the market under highly specific conditions. That asset out west is Maxx Crosby, and the truth is, we were right in the mix for him earlier this offseason. Ryan Poles was working the phones for a blockbuster trade with the Las Vegas Raiders. A deal actually got done, just not with us. The Raiders agreed to ship Crosby to the Baltimore Ravens, but the whole thing blew up on March 10th. Crosby failed his physical due to that busted knee, and the transaction was voided. After the dust settled, Raiders GM John Spytek slammed the brakes. Selling Crosby at a massive discount right now is a fireable offense. Las Vegas announced they're keeping their star, at least for now. Spytek recognizes asset depreciation. Selling a premium edge with a flag knee drops his market value by 40%. He's holding for peak compensation. This isn't a hard stop, it's a pause. Albert Breer over at Sports Illustrated just dropped a reality check. He laid out a scenario where the Raiders put Crosby back on the block at the November trade deadline. Las Vegas gains nothing by taking a cheap deal while the knee's a question mark. But if Crosby gets healthy and starts wrecking quarterbacks, the math changes overnight. If the Bears are fighting for the NFC North crown by late October, Poles will be ready to make that call. When you've got a rookie quarterback's financial window, you don't hoard draft picks, you leverage them to acquire elite pass rushers. Let's get real about the cost. Bringing Crosby to Chicago means giving up at least 2 first-round picks, or a first, a second, and the day one starter. That's a massive investment, but it's what you pay when you're chasing a ring. The nightmare's fitting Crosby's $35 million a year extension onto our books. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel in cap space, so the math looks dead on arrival. A $35 million cap hit looks unplayable on the surface, but NFL ledgers are built to be managed. You find the cash. The second lever Poles has to pull involves edge rusher Dayo Odeyingbo. Dayo had 1 sack last year before blowing his Achilles in Week 9. His $20.5 million cap hit threatens Chicago's flexibility. If Poles executes a post-June 1 trade, we only absorb $4.5 million in 2026 dead cap while creating $16 million in pure space. Transferring a $15.5 million base salary for a guy rehabbing an Achilles to Las Vegas effectively covers the first-year bill of absorbing Crosby. Dayo Odeyingbo's $20.5 million cap hit's a toxic liability following his Achilles tear. Packaging his contract to Las Vegas neutralizes the financial impact of acquiring Crosby. Combine that with a Cole Kmet liquidation, and the Bears have $25 million in hard cap relief. The math works because Crosby's 2025 extension didn't include a massive signing bonus. By waiting until November, the Raiders carry only $5.1 million in dead money, while the Bears inherit only the prorated remainder of his $30 million guaranteed 2026 base salary. When you verify our $243,078 in cap space and Crosby's bonus-free structure, this isn't a theory. The $25 million in relief from the Kmet and Odeyingbo liquidations is exactly what's required to absorb Crosby's prorated base. The math is absolute. Chicago has the blueprint. We've got the young quarterback, a coaching staff that knows what an offense looks like, and a front office that isn't afraid to get dirty. Dropping an elite pass rusher into this defense flips the script on the franchise. If you want clinical breakdowns of this roster instead of the emotional garbage they sell on TV, hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed. We track the ledger, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.